Good morning, everyone. This is Lori with Three Keys Astrology, and today we're going to talk about the moon. I think it's really important this year that we pay better attention to our moons and the moons of the people that we love. Your moon represents your emotional body and your private self, the self that's reserved for a select few. And the moon is feminine in nature, and I hope by now, if you've been listening to my channel, you realize that both men and women have qualities of both sexes. There's some very masculine women and there's some very feminine men. But the moon is the female part of us, the introverted part of us, the part of us that needs extra tender, loving care. And the reason I'm making this video is because the energy is so hard in 2020. The moon is the opposite of what Mars is. Mars is very dynamic and outgoing. In this 2020, Mars is a key player, and he's clashing and colliding with the malefics, Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter, who's normally a very good planet, but he exaggerates the energy he's around, and he's in bad company this year. So the moon, if you know the moon of your children, if you know the moon of your parents, your lover, your husband, your wife, your best friend, you are going to become closer. And not all moons are the same. I did a video, can't think of the title of it. Oh, I'm sorry. To start with, you know by now that the moon has phases. But those phases are an illusion because the moon is a whole planet. All we're seeing is a part of the light that she is. And the moon doesn't really want to show herself. That's why at full moon periods, it's a really good time to release things. Whatever the theme of the month is, according to the astrological sign, if you're living seasonal and in harmony with astrology, at the cessation, the culmination, I should say, when that moon is full, is a good time each month to work on the themes of the month. So we're in July 2020. We're at the midpoint of our new decade, this 2020, this very difficult, dangerous, and deadly year. And a lot of people in the last, I think, 10 years, it's gotten more and more, people have gotten more and more detached from their feelings. We are so influenced by TV and technology and society. And unfortunately, the majority of the people play monkey see and monkey do. And we can see that with trends like the selfie phenomenon and self-involved society. People pretending that their life is a runway and a lot of other nonsense that come from trends. And so I think the moon is the part, the most special, precious part of people. It's sensitive. And if you're lucky to be in a relationship where you can be vulnerable, you're showing your moon. So like I said, we know the phases of the moon, but they're an illusion because the moon is still in the gravitational orbit of the sun. Always. We're only seeing parts of it, and depending on where we live in the world, we get a different view. In psychological terms, the moon in astrology defines what makes you feel safe. And the moon rules what we call the fourth house, in the astrological wheel. And this house has to do with your ancestry, your lineage, your home, your roots, your maternal family, your mom's family, and in single parenthood situations, your mom may have been forced to take on a more masculine role and to work outside of the home, unlike generations from the 60s and before then. And so when you're an astrologer, will be able to see actually whether your mother had a professional role or a more domestic part in your life growing up. In all of our ancestry, before society was more commercialized, grandmothers and grandfathers and family members all took care of the children. And by the cycle of time and lifetime, families took care of their children, their aged adults. They were honored, respected, and cared for in the last years of their lives. And so babies, there were 3 generations, always actively involved, intertwined and interwoven. But modern society has taken away from the family and moon themes and commercialized what family is. And the introduction of end of life care facilities and daycare centers and a society and civilization that's so expensive that it takes 2 parents to support a family financially, and you're still just getting by for the majority of us. So the moon has a very important ancestral purpose in your life. When you know your ancestors, you know who you are. When you know your family and are supported, the potential for you to live a better life is there. And when you have roots that you give nutrients to, there's stability in your family. When you unroot and take off, you're blowing in the wind, and life is going to be really hard for you. Those are just the laws of nature, the cycles of time, God's design. And so people are more stable, solid, less emotionally upset when they have good, strong roots and good, strong families and good, strong moons. So let's talk about what the moon means in each constellation. When your moon is in Aries, we'll start with Aries, the energy is a masculine energy, and it's the moon attached to the planet Mars. So it's a hot moon, and it's an energetic, sometimes impatient moon. What that moon needs, and he'll resist cuddling and slow things and quiet time. Aries tend to ignore those things. They don't really have time for feelings and emotions. And so it is when your moon is in Aries. This is a very active moon, and it's not as emotional as the water moons. So we look at the elements of the moon to get a feel for what that person needs emotionally. And what Aries needs is for you to think he's really special. That's a selfish moon as well. They're not the best at sharing. It's kind of like the only child moon. Everything is on me, all about me, and praise me, cheer for me. That's Moon Aries. When you get to Moon Taurus, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and she loves to be here. These are 2 feminine, this is Moon and Venus put together because Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So this is a very feminine moon, and it's receptive. Mars is active and outgoing and can't sit still and has to be on the go. Moon in Taurus is content, and she makes great-grandmothers and mothers, and she loves children. She loves the home arts. To make her feel good, she likes to be surrounded by beautiful things, but simple things, good meals, her family, to be in love. This is a loyal moon, and it's ruled by Venus. So she's soft and warm, loyal, true. The next moon we come to is the moon in Gemini. And this moon is ruled by Mercury. So this is a very busy moon. And this is the child that's in all of us. When the moon's in Gemini, this moon is active, curious, precocious, energetic, playful, fun, silly, funny, comedic. And what this moon needs most, and she won't want it, it'll have to be later in life, is if you have a child with a Gemini moon, I'll give you the child and all of the moons, since the moon represents mother and child. If you have an Aries child, or strong 3 keys, and any of the 3 keys are in Aries, or you have a stellium in Aries, this little moon wants to play. This is a little athlete moon, and he needs to be on the go, go, go. And they like to play, they like to be outside, they've got a lot of energy to run off, and they need activity. This is not a sit-still moon. The next moon, Taurus moon, the child in this moon loves to cook. The kitchen gives her lots of pleasure. They love little play sets, little cooking sets, and little grill sets when they're children. Little canned vegetables and little pretend pots and pans, and I don't know if they still make them. I'm so old that we had the Easy Bake Oven back in the 60s, and that was a joy. I never got tired of baking little cakes and decorating them. And the moon in Gemini is, think hands and busy. They like to do things with their hands. They like to learn to knit and crochet, and if it's little boys, ping pong, even little girls, ping pong. They love to make things with their hands, and they love to run. And it's light energy. So they like to fly kites, and they like to see things moving. And they like amusement parks. And they like video games and arcades. And if you have an adult that's a Gemini, this person's mental. His energy is not emotional like the moon is, but he's mentally emotional. And so he's loves to read, loves to write, loves lectures. This is how you can gift your moon Gemini or fuel your children with moon Gemini. This is a very curious moon. So trips to the libraries and museums and expos, and depending on other things that I can see in the astrological chart, it could be going to places to see the mechanics of how a car is built, or software, engineering, and they love stuff like that. Putting things together. Two things that fit together, Gemini moon. When we get to the next moon, this is where the moon rules. The moon is home. And this is a moon in Cancer. And this again is a very feminine moon, and this is emotional. So you'll have the people with Cancer moons will have soft voices, like soft surroundings, are soft spoken, are not vulgar, are not critical. This is a very warm and accepting moon, like Taurus. In fact, they sextile, and they make very good friends, great sisters, good companions, and lovers, whether it's a Taurus man and a Cancer woman, or Cancer man and a Taurus woman. Very highly compatible. They get each other. They care about feelings. They feel you. They're intuitive. And they don't need the spoken word. It's the things that aren't said that make them so special. They'll sit with you. They'll care for you. They'll be there for you. The next moon is the moon in Leo. And this little moon is pretty fun. This is putting the sun and the moon together. And it wants to be adored. So if you have a little child that's got a Cancer moon, all the things that apply to Taurus apply to the Cancer moon. Cooking, sewing, baking, home arts, They love to play in the mud. They like to play house. They like to, when I was a little girl, my sister and I um, we played house, but the woods were our house. The pine trees and pine needles were the carpet on the floor. We found this beautiful little place behind our house that looked, and it was dark compared to the daylight because it was all enclosed with pine. And our floor was carpeted with pine needles. And there were a couple of big rocks in there, like the Flintstones, that were our table and chairs. And we'd dig clay out of the creek and make pots and pans and make mud to make the pretend food. And so those kinds of things Taurus loves. Your Taurus child will love the outdoors, as will your Aries child. But your Aries child wants to climb things and go places and do things and race. And your Taurus child is content to sit there and take in the grass or the mud or the pond or the dirt or the grapevines. Um, so we're on the Leo moon. The Leo moon wants to be adored. Above all else, Leo rules your heart and our back, the backbone. And this moon is also very childlike and sweet when you get to see the private, vulnerable self of the person. This child loves theater and pretend and stories. Gemini loves stories. They love to be read to. All the signs thus far, except Aries, are really into good stories and imagination and play. Leos love the theater, ballet, dance, um, anything where they can be in the spotlight because the sun rules Leo. So they like to be center stage. So get your little child into acting and pretending and playing and make believe. And you can start it at home. And just because the world shut down, home didn't shut down. They love little make little puppet socks and play with them. Your lover, husband, sister, brother, best friend. Leo is a royal sign, so they like nice things. When you gift them with things that are quality, the best perfume and the nicest diamond ring and the expensive gold watch, that gold is the metal for Leo, like the sunshine. And so they love nice things. And they like to be praised and they want to be acknowledged and they like to be adored. They take a little extra petting than some of the other signs. Think of your Leo as that big lion that's bold, but in the quiet and private of his or her moon, he needs to be pet. Pet him, praise him, love him, care for him. Treat him or her like a king or queen, and you'll have a loyal relationship. The next sign is Moon Virgo. And this is like Moon Gemini, but it's a little more advanced. A Moon Virgo child is the little precocious intellectual, born a little scholar, or a little gentleman, or a little gentle daughter, polite, little reticent, the observer. And people, and these children love to categorize. They like it when they learn the ABCs and they can put things in order. They love to, if you have a pile of beads, they love to separate the colors and the beads and what goes where, your buttons, or they love to organize. And they're fun little helpers to clean with you. Virgo is a fix-it sign, and even in adults, they find themselves enjoying occupations where they're Mr. or Miss Fix-It-Up. And so this moon is, this is a tender moon. This moon is really sensitive and it's not emotional, it's mental. So hurt feelings, saying hurtful things to someone with a Virgo moon or a child, it can do a lot of damage. They think all the time. Their minds don't really rest. And they need a lot of tender, loving care. And they need cooler climates. The heat's not their friend. They usually don't like loud and spicy people, and they are happy not to be first in line. They don't want to be center stage. They're bright though, very bright. And so to please them and understand their private selves is to understand them intellectually. The next moon is Libra. And this moon is so sweet. This moon's all about sharing and caring and loving, and they're the most likely to want to be married, make commitments, and to pair up. A Libra without love is very sad, and it's detrimental to their health, actually, to be alone. Libra is ruled by Venus, so this is a feminine and gentle moon who's receptive. They want to listen. It's a mental moon, though, so they care about your feelings. They want to talk things out. They want to understand your point of view and the other side of things. And their little Libra children love to play, dress up anything. They love stories. They love to make stories. They want to be part of the storytelling. They love painting and all of the arts, making things with clay and making things prettier, learning how to sew. These are your junior designers, so pay attention. And future architects and interior designers. If you're involved with someone who's a Libra, this is they have a higher aesthetic taste than some of the other signs, and so they like refined surroundings. They like mannered people. They have the intellectual and mental abilities have risen to the midpoint in the constellation chart, and so they're a more groomed and diplomatic moon than the other moons before them. The next moon is the Scorpio moon, and if you have little children who have Scorpio moons, these little ones like to solve puzzles. Gemini likes to do puzzles too, by the way. But these little guys like to do the whodunits and the where is it and anything mystery, anything with looking glass. Take them outside with a magnifying glass and show them the intricate parts and pieces of insects. They like to dig in the dirt. They like to find things. They like hide and seek. They like spooky movies, depending on how old they are. We're talking 8, 9, gentle spooky things. Your Scorpio child's very inquisitive and shy. Scorpio moon adults this is moon with Pluto or moon with Mars. And this moon has trust issues. This moon is complicated. And it's seen the darker sides of life. Childhood wasn't a fairy tale. Their first marriages are usually filled with all kinds of control issues and problems with obsession and jealousy and the dark emotions. So this is a troubled moon, and I recommend this moon. People resist it, but I'm telling you, I've done this. There's something very magical about psychotherapy. And so oftentimes Scorpio moons come from families that have a lot of secrets, or they're not obeying the law. There's all kinds of things about this, the hidden parts of our lives, the parts of our lives that we maybe feel ashamed about or guilty. And this also happens. This happens often when the moon is in a family lineage or the moon's in the 4th house. And if you're born with a Scorpio moon, there are secrets you haven't found out yet because you're not old enough, or you will have been subjected to things that were too adult for your little mind, or there's some kind of mystery and something going on. And so that moon is difficult in relationships because they don't automatically trust. And so sometimes they wrestle and they're in and out of relationships because they can't come to terms with letting go of someone that hurt them so badly that they cause more strife in a fresh relationship. And you will keep doing that cyclic, reliving trauma and creating drama. It's the trauma moon. And until you learn how to purge those deep hurts or get to the point where you say, you know what, I have to try to trust somebody, or you face your fears, or you dare to forgive the people that hurt you the most. Once they get over that, this is a very loyal sign, and it's a very magnetic moon though, so oftentimes they attract the fears or the things that they don't like. They pull in closer and they get involved with the people that they most despise. They'll be enmeshed somehow with people like that. So that's a difficult moon, for sure. The hardest moon in the zodiac. The next moon is a Sagittarius moon. And this moon is like Moon and Jupiter together. And this is an idealistic moon. This person's very positive, and he's very active, like Aries is. But he's a lot more mature than Aries actually. This is the sign of higher knowledge, moral aptitude, ethical behavior, and these people are often at least earn master's degrees. This moon is an intellectual sign, and it's mental, and it's fire. So it's got a curiosity and a desire to learn. These people make great teachers. So if your little one has a Sagittarius moon, they'll be little professors, and they want to learn. So that really appeals to their moon. If you're an adult and married to this kind of a person, your life will be exciting, filled with adventure, and it will never be dull. It's an active moon, and what pleases this moon is trips. They love to go to places they've never been before. They love foreign lands. They love foreign people. They love foreign food. They love higher learning. They like all kinds of subjects that have to do with the spiritual world, religion. And it's a really perceptive moon too. This is a very smart moon usually. The next moon is the moon in Capricorn. This moon is probably the second most difficult moon after Scorpio, because this moon's guarded, and the moon is what we call in astrology in detriment in Capricorn. So it's an old, I've said before in other videos, oftentimes this can be the child born to older parents. The whoopsie child weren't trying to get pregnant, but now they have a baby, and they're in their 40s or more. This is a guarded moon, and there's also some Mars thrown into this mix, and people that are Capricorn don't want to admit that they have tempers, but believe me when I tell you they do. If you have a little child that's got a moon in Capricorn, you'll think this is a very old soul. They'll seem never to really be children. Sure, they'll be little, and of course they were a baby once, but they are not silly, and they're not playful. They're very serious. And so if you fall in love with someone that's got a moon Capricorn, you can bet your bottom dollar that you're going to have to prove yourself before they let you get close. They're the kind of people that kind of stand up and say, prove to me you're worth my time. I need to see it to believe it. And they're usually reserved, they are dignified, and they care about status and reputation and what other people think a lot. So the next moon that we have is the moon Pisces, and this is a really nice place for the moon. Pisces moon people are super sensitive, and like Cancer, the moon's very, very comfortable in the waters of Pisces and the stars and skies, constellation Pisces, because this is all about our sensitivity and emotionality, and this is the highest you can get before you reach the spirit world again. Anything Pisces. Stelliums in Pisces, Sun, Moon Pisces, Rising Sign Pisces. These people have a lot of soul. And this isn't the first time they've been on Earth, if you believe in past lives. They are otherworldly, and their interests, they're often psychic and clairvoyant and very highly intuitive. So this moon, if you have little children with this moon, I'm telling you right now that music is the answer. Your little one will dance and love it when you dance with them and play with them. Have music going on. They love stories. They love the imaginary world, and adults do as well. There are fine writers that come from the Piscean constellation, and musicians and artists and theater. So get your child involved in all of those things for sure. If you're in love with someone that is an adult that has a Pisces moon, it'll be easy for you to connect emotionally, especially if you're another water sign. They make beautiful love together, and it's a very gentle and close connection. So Taurus and Pisces make especially nice companions, best friends, lovers, parents, married partners. And so I hope you've enjoyed this little talk about the moon. I think it's really important that, especially in our hard 2020, I think that when you start seeing the world texturally and realize how hard 2020 is, hard. Capricorn energy is hard, almost impenetrable energy. It's that standoffish. It's don't come close. I've got my boundaries, and there's a border, and you're not welcome, and you can't come in, and propriety, and all these reasons why we can't be together. And the opposite of that is the emotional signs of Cancer saying, come here, I'll hold you. Let me love you. I care about what you think. Put your head on my shoulder. I'll make you feel better. Pisces is the same way. There's compassion and concern and caring, the willingness to listen. So while this year is really, really hard, when you pay attention and care about what someone else's moon is, and you can always order readings from me at Three Keys Astrology. My website offers my services. If you've already gotten your birth chart reading, we've done the very first step that everybody has to participate in before I can do predictive work. But after that, if you're involved in a relationship and you want a compatibility reading, or you're thinking about becoming involved with someone and you want a compatibility reading, I'm the girl. If you can email me at Ducky at Three Keys Astrology, no matter what the subject is or your life event, because astrology applies to the cycles of life. Just like the phases of the moon, we have phases and sections of our lives that are ruled by the moon. Not only is pregnancy a moon-themed cycle of life, infancy is a cycle of life. Women menstruating is the moon cycle of life. Menopause is a moon cycle of life. And the end of life, death has to do with the moon as well. That transition into a place that we can't see beyond the veil. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. The sun and the moon are the two most important planets, luminaries, in the zodiac for each and every sign. And if you're interested in learning astrology from me, put some notes in the comment below, or shoot me an email at ducky@threekeysastrology.com. And I hope that no matter what happens in your life, that you're safe and healthy, and that you're giving love its due. No matter what, this lifetime isn't about just survival and this rat race. It's sure not about that. It's about relationships and having some good ones and solid ones and bonded ones. And you can't have those when you live in a swipe society. You can't have real deep emotional connections if you treat people like they're as disposable as your takeout dinners. and when you don't honor your family and you don't make special time for them at all stages of your life, because the habits that you make are the habits your children will make. And when it's your turn to be a grandparent, that'll come back. That'll cycle back around. And you'll get to see your grandchildren, and they'll get to have grandparents, and they'll have 3 generations. They'll be part of a triple generation family that works together, loves together, cares together, lives together. That's all moon themed. Everything that has to do with family is about the moon. So get a hold of me if you want to know the moon signs of your children. If you have any questions. And even if your moon's not a very emotional moon, it's still the moon. It's still an emotional, it still speaks about the emotionality that you have. And of course you can get warmer. Of course you can learn how to be a better listener, a better lover, more attentive, more thoughtful. Even if you have a Capricorn moon, even if your Scorpio moon's screaming, don't trust him, you can still overcome these things. So, you take care for now and have a nice summer, and see if you can figure out the moon, of the people that you are with and around. And we'll talk soon. Bye for now.